Hi guys, welcome to the channel, and we're going to get our we're going to start building our app. The app is to the right here, and we've just started a basic Flutter application. The usual. I've not made any changes to it. So the first thing we're going to do, I like getting all the packages we require, getting them in pubspec.yaml, and then using them progressively as we go along. So we're going to go to pubspec.yaml, and the first thing we're going to do is of course I'm going to use Android Studio, but if you want to use IntelliJ or Visual Studio Code, that is completely up to you. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pub.dev, and the first package we're going to look for, let's go to pub.dev. The first package we're going to look for is, let's start with the state management solution provider, like so. Provider is a really good state management solution, and you see it gets the big Flutter favorite. It's really easy to use, really easy to plug in, and even in my previous app, if you look at the color matching app, we use Provider. I really like it. So we come here to installing and copy, and then we go back to pub.dev, and as you know, or as you may know, the pubspec.yaml is it's indentation sensitive, right? If you mess up the indentation, you won't be able to get the packages. So the best way, or how I like doing it, is coming directly underneath Cupertino and putting the packages there, like aligning them with Cupertino. That way you're sure that you've done it correctly. So after that, we come back and we look for the next package is Intel. Intel is short for internationalization. It's used to format dates. For example, if we click on Mike here, you get the date like this. You could change the order. You could make it where the month comes before the day, or the day comes before the month. The Americans like putting the month before the day. Many people around the world like it the other way. So depending on how the various ways you want to format it, you could use it. It's really popular for number formatting and date formatting. So we're going to come to Intel, and we're going to come to installing, and we're going to copy it like so, and we're going to go back, and the provider, we put it there. After that, we're going to get Flutter Toast. uh, Flutter Toast, Flutter Toast, like this. It's easy. It's very easy to create toast messages, right? It makes it really easy to create toast messages, and I just noticed that this is what 4.0. Change log. I built it with 3.13, and now there's a 4.0. I hope they're not breaking changes, but if they are, I'll figure it out, and we'll downgrade, or we'll figure out how to use the upgrade. But this is a completely different version. They might be breaking changes. Yeah, I built mine with about 3.13, but it looks like it's March 21st. Yesterday, it's apparently changed. So let's try working with this one. Hopefully there are no changes, there are no game breaking changes. Flutter like this. The next thing we're going to use is path provider. Path provider. We come to here and search for path provider like this. Should have an underscore underneath. It's used to get locations and access files on the file system on the phone, whether it's iOS or Android. Yeah, so it's really it's the standard, I think, for accessing files on. This is a Hive uses the local storage, so this is to access the files depending on whether it's Android or iOS, right? Like so. And after that, the next thing we're going to use is, of course, I just mentioned it, Hive, like so. Hive NoSQL database is really good. Of course, Hive does have a few issues, which I will get into, particularly with the documentation. Some of the documentation is I like pointing to the documentation so that you can see and follow and improve or make changes to a code. So there are a few issues with Hive documentation, but we will get through them. After Hive, we have Logger. Logger allows us to get error messages like when we do something. Like if you look at the app showcase, you see us using Logger. So we could get Logger like this. It prints. You can even make it different color logs. For some reason, I don't see why. I don't get the point of changing the color. The thing is the message, not the color of the message. Or you're supposed to maybe at a glance know that it's a warning, it's informational, it's an event, or it's something has failed. But yeah, we're going to use Logger. And do you have everything? We have provider, we got path provider, we got Hive, we got Logger, we got Intel. Yeah, I think we have everything. Yeah, we have everything except we also need the Hive generator. It generates a model file. We'll be working on the model today, so we need the Hive generator, right? Hive generator, like this. Hive generator. It's an extension for Hive. So we copy it like so. Copy, and we go to it. It's usually put in the dev dependencies like this. Yeah. Okay. And after that, what's the next thing? We need a build runner. We need the build runner. This is the last thing we need. It writes the binaries. It works with the binaries. So we come to installing, and we get the build runner like this. Copy, go back to our Android Studio, and we put it underneath like so, and we hit packages.get, and it should take a few seconds, but it should get all the files, and we can start working on the model after that. So let's see, give it a second. Come on, we're all watching you. Okay, maybe we should close our eyes because it's getting shy. I don't know what's wrong, man. Come on, we're waiting, 24.7 seconds, finally. So there, we've gotten all our packages that we'll be using them progressively as we go along. And now it's time to do a bit of the structure and build the model. First, let's sort out the folder structure, the file structure. We're going to have a package or a folder called model for the models, another one for the pages, and another one for the various widgets we'll use. So we could come here and first thing is new package. The new package, we could call this model, like so. Okay, that's what we're going to be working with today, but let's create the others, just get it out of the way. After that, we will have the pages like this, and after that we will have the final one we're going to use is a new package called widgets. We're going to use a couple of widgets like the toast, things like that. So like the toast, the list, the associate list, the associate tile that you see, we'll put them as their own widgets. So hit OK, and yeah, so now we have created the folder structure. Let's work on the model, and to do that we'll go back, look at Hive, search for Hive, and go to the documentation, documentation samples like this, and I'll show you a problem with the documentation. Is that, for example, when you let's expand this a bit. When you come down, you find that there are big empty spaces like this, like you would want to on the read, when you click on reading and writing. So if you want to see what exactly is in this space that is meant here that you can't see, For example, if we go to write, is there something in write that is, like you see delete, writing null versus delete. So if you want to actually see it, the easiest way I found is to hit this edit on GitHub like this. You'll get the markdown file. So the markdown file, you'll get to see everything. Like you see, this was what was missing, or it was under delete. So you can see exactly what is missing. For some reason that it doesn't render the markdown files. So if you're looking for something, you wouldn't actually see it. What we would want, I think, is under type adapters like this. Is it under type adapters? Hive and Flutter. What is it? No. Async calls, auto increment. It's actually under Hive object. So when you can store custom objects, everything in Hive is stored in boxes, and we'll be using a Hive object, right? So to see that, you'd go under what's it called, to the markdown file on GitHub, so that you can actually see it. Because if you come back to Hive, you see the example of how the Hive object is done, is used, is not visible. So you'd have to come to the markdown file. But let's just get typing. I've already done this, so I've already gone through it. So you can take my word as a gospel. And we'll come here, and the first thing we'll do is click on new, create a dart file in the model. Okay, I thought I did that. Create a new. It's not creating a dart file. I wonder why. Oh, sorry, I hadn't clicked on it. Okay, let's call it associate. Ideally, you would have picked students, but I started with associate, and I stuck with it. But you could pick student or something else. So we create a file called associate, and we could say, we could just create a class, call it associate, like so. The associate is going to have a name of type string, name, like this. It's going to have a phone. There's a reason I'm putting spaces in between. He's going to have, it's either going to be a senior associate or not a senior. I didn't call them junior, so we can call it is senior, like this. Oh, sorry. And the date that they join, we could say final of type date time. Of type date time is join date, like this. Then we're going to have the age of type, and we could say age, like this. And then we are going to initialize it. So yeah, so wait for the red button, create constructor. So it creates a constructor, but we want this to be named constructors like this. So we will put curly braces around this, like so. And the name is required. If you can recall, when let me show you on the app. If we are creating a new guy, if we try to save, it says get the name. The name is always required. The rest, like if we say, let's call him Max. We could leave the rest. The rest will be initialized to something. So you could have Max with 0 and the rest is initialized. So this name is something that is required. It's identifying. We'll use it to identify. So it's something that is required, like so. Okay. We would need Flutter Foundation, I believe, for this. So let's get Flutter Foundation, like so. So that is the basic. These are the basic things that we'll have: the name, which is here Max, the phone, which is 0, the is senior, this is junior, the switch is put on the not senior, the age, which is 0, and the join date, which is today, right? So we have all the things that are required to create. But now we want to add Hive. Okay, So yeah, so now we're going to use a Hive object to save this information in Hive. When you use a Hive object, it allows you easier management and it gives you access to helper methods like save. We'll use save in. I believe this method will be useful when it comes to updating and deleting. It will help you identify the various objects that you use. So we're going to use Hive method. If you look at the documentation, the primary way that they say that you should save stuff to Hive does not use the Hive object, but we're going to use the Hive object for because of the additional the relative ease with which we can work with, right? Okay, so let's get to work. Let me just start my Pomodoro timer. Make sure I am on time. And the first thing to do that first, because when you run the build runner, so that it can run the binaries, we are going to we're going to make reference to that file that will be generated, right? So we're going to say, you will see, if you've never done this, you will see that in a bit. So you could say part associate, make sure it's the same name as the file that you're using. So ours will be called part associate.g for generated dot. When we run the binaries, you'll see this. And we also need to import Hive, right? So we should import, sorry, we should import Hive like this. So Hive that. Yeah, and at this, so when you want to use Hive, this is all in the documentation. You need to say Hive type, and then give it a type ID of 0. We're only going to have one type here. You could use multiple, and there's an example in the documentation that shows you how to use multiple relationships. Just look for contacts if you go there. You will see it. So, and then we'll give each of these fields a number. So we could say at Hive field, a number starting with 0, and then we could just copy this like this, copy, and then come here and put Hive field 1 and Hive field 2, yes, like so, and enter tab, command V, Hive field 3 like this, and the final is Hive field 4 like so. And now we have to run the build runners so that we can generate, create the auto-generate file. This one, associate.g.dart. So now we go to the terminal. We go to the terminal here and we run Flutter packages pub run build runner build like this, and it will take a couple of seconds, and it will auto generate the file with all the methods and everything. Yeah, it's taking its sweet time, right? Yeah, it started, and in the meantime we could look at the Flutter Hive object. See, when you store custom objects in Hive, you can extend Hive object to manage your objects easily. Hive objects provide the keys of your object and useful helper methods like save and delete. So this is exactly what we're going to use when we are editing and we're deleting data. It's very, very useful. So what they do. So you create the class and then extend the Hive objects and create the fields like that, and yeah. So yeah, we're going to do that. So let's go back to app, and took 21.1 seconds with 7 outputs. And yeah, so it has, I think, done its job. I can't see the file. Oh, here it is. Associate g.dart. So you see, that's where you're supposed to make sure that the part here is the same name as the file associate. So we come to associate.g.dart, and here we have all the information that are going to be used. Fields, a string, the various binaries, basically. So this video has already taken long enough. Today we have set up the folder structure. We have gotten the pub spec.yaml, and we have created the model, and we have generated all the. We have created the generated code, the type adapter generator. So we have done everything we set out to do today, and thank you. And I will see you next time with another video on the same app. Thank you. And of course, don't forget, like and subscribe. Have a good day.